we have constant? No, but we have the block printed.
Разные виды вышивки, красивые.
Oh yeah, this is a bigger. Oh, sorry, we do have it. And this is a bigger
How long
piece.
does it take to produce the flame retardant
Print
print?
2 to 3 weeks.
2-3 weeks.
Yeah. So we normally do a trial, which is very quick, and then we can print it in 2 to 3 weeks. It's very quick.
I mean flame retardant.
Yeah.
Если вам понадобится любая ткань с пропиткой негорючей, это занимает дополнительно 2-3 недели. 3 недели.
So I just wanted to show you, this is a design that we printed last year that was from a block print. Sometimes we produce things with proper blocks, and other times we will machine print something that was originally a block. So,
Still.
so
Is it looks like a block print
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
used block print?
so this is actually a machine printed version of a traditional block print, and this actually, the coordinate is actually block printed. So this is printed with a block. It takes 2 people a day to print 25 meters of fabric. They can only print between 8 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon, because they have to print with proper daylight, and the dye is all mixed by eye in a bucket. It's all. We don't have the video, do we?
Нет, наоборот.
So,
Компания использует до сих пор исторические технологии, традиционные технологии. Вот, например, посмотрите, первый принт, крупный принт, да, он такой, как будто с дефектами, как будто не пропечатанный. Они специально на машинной печати имитировали эффект блочного ручного принта. А вот мелкий принт, который держит Н в руках, до сих пор делается блочно, то есть это ручная печать. Делают ее 2 человека, и в течение дня они могут произвести 25 метров, потому что это всего лишь один цвет. Да? До сих пор цвет они смешивают вручную, то есть это не какая-то машина там по рецепту четко высчитанному, автоматически, как мы рассказывали, это про краски, высчитывает и четко дозирует. Они это мешают вручную, на глаз, поэтому ткань это производится исключительно только с 8 до 4 дня. Потому что нужно обязательно естественный солнечный свет.
Видно, стыки есть. С нашей стороны есть стыки.
And this is very beautiful because this is hand block print. The stripes are hand block printed on the fabric, and then it is embroidered after it's hand block printed. So it's block printed and then it's embroidered. But what I wanted to show you was basically how our collections work together.
Вот вы можете посмотреть, как делается блочный принт вот на маленьком компьютере.
So this is the block.
Что такое блочный принт? Вот это блок, да, на котором вырезается резчиком на дереве рисунок. И дальше он ручками печатается. Как печать.
These are my favorite fabrics because they have to be created with lots of love. You know, you have to really. These fabrics are created with, you know, it's craftsmanship. People have to be passionate about textiles. They're really, really beautiful fabrics, and I love these because they're so handmade and hand created.
Это ткани для тех, кто действительно ценит нюансы. Например, вот эта ткань, которую держит Юля в руках, это очень дорогая вещь, потому что сначала наносится вручную блочный принт, а потом поверх принта наносится вышивка. Is it handmade embroidery or machine embroidery?
Yes, this
no,
is.
I mean this one.
That is hand block printed and then machine embroidery. So it's blocked and then it's embroidered, and this is another colorway. So this is another colorway, which is really pretty. And I wanted to show you how we work in our studio, because I think it's really important to explain how we work. So we work as textile designers, but first and foremost we work as designers who create product for rooms. And there's a very big difference in working in that way, because what we do is try and make your job selling to the customer much easier. So we use the same colours. If you see this was created for the signature print collection. This has been created in the artisan book, which I will find and show you what's under there. But then, the library of weaves, this is created to create all your rooms for you. So this, and then the velvet is coloured. Here.
Создают дизайны, они не думают только о том, чтобы фантазировать что-то сумасшедшее. Let me translate because not all of them understand.
Okay.
But Значит, но они ставят себе также задачу сделать так, чтобы ваша работа была удобна с клиентом, и клиенту было понятно, как можно из многочисленных вариантов составить себе интерьер. Поэтому они заранее продумывают, как ткани различного типа, разные технологии производства будут сочетаться между собой.
So the way that we work is that our colours will always work for you with something. So if you receive a collection from us, and there's no one here to explain it to you, if you get all the books out and play with it, you can create huge numbers of schemes for your customers. And one of the best places to look also is on our Instagram, because we put lots of schemes every week on our Instagram. So for you in the showroom, it's a good way of staying connected to the schemes we're putting together and how to use the product, particularly when it's very new for you. So if you get all of the books, I challenge all of you to go through our books and put together 5 favourite schemes that you would want to use either in your own home or for your customer. Because it is a fantastic way to get to know the product, but also it means that you always have something that you can find for a customer. It's a really good thing to do.
Очень вам рекомендую. Во-первых, вы должны помнить, что даже если коллекция там 5 или 50-летней давности, она будет идеально сочетаться по цветам с текущими коллекциями GP&J Baker. Вы можете здорово скомпоновать ткани из любой нашей коллекции между собой. И для этого вам помощь Инстаграм GP&J Baker. Очень рекомендую им пользоваться регулярно, потому что каждую неделю они выкладывают туда новые дизайн-борды и новые композиции, где они миксуют разные коллекции.
So I will finish with Baker. So this is the rock bird in the back. But so Baker, you have everything from you have this collection, which we have just we had Artisan 1 and this is Artisan 2. So in here you have embroidery and block print that you can work with this. You have all the plains and the velvets, and then we have things like East to West here that has lots of rich colour and has lots of embroidery and damasks and velvet, and this is much more colours from our, the rich colours from our archive. But even so, you can still scheme lots of it together, and so you can create schemes with, this is another block print that you could put with that, and then add some velvet and add some colour. So there's lots of pattern to mix together, but equally you can create very simple rooms just with velvet or plain fabrics. So you really need to spend some time, if you go through the collections, when you have some quiet time, if you ever have quiet time, it's a good exercise to decorate with the product and get to know it really well. So that's...
Лучший способ изучить коллекцию, как Энн предлагает, да, когда у вас бывает перерывчик и какое-то свободное время, если оно, конечно, у вас бывает. Вот, взять разные каталоги и попробовать составить свой дизайн-борд, попробовать помиксовать между собой разные коллекции, разные каталоги, вешалки с каталогами. Концепт будет и с однотонниками. Позволит лучше понять коллекцию и лучше ее изучить.
And if you want to have just a signature fabric in a room, on a big footstool or a pair of chairs to make a statement, these velvets have been incredibly successful. They're very, very beautiful. Even if you make cushions from them, they have fantastic designs, and they really make a statement in a room. It's an easy go-to to have something special in a room, and you can mix something like this, which is very fabulous. If someone has a budget, you can put the Montpellier velvet, which is very inexpensive. You can make a big sofa with one of these, and then you could make this as your special signature in a room. So you can design with that high-low. If people have a price and budget, you can find things that are less and then put something that's fabulous. It's just like an outfit. You know, we all need our black. You know, we all wear jeans every day. We always wear black every day. And then you want something fabulous to go to a party. So this is your party fabulous, and this is your everyday. Or just for a tie. No, you have to have more fabric than a tie. You have to have a shirt. So anyway.
The important thing that I also wanted to say was this is what makes us different from our competitors, is that Baker is hugely diverse, from the amazing velvets to the classical embroideries to the amazing weaves. I think it's a very important thing that none of our competitors can compete with. We have a far diverser look than maybe those people over there. So I think it's very important that we have the classical things, and we go back to 1884 and beyond that, with relevant prints that Anne's talked about with the H&M story, to very modern classic things that will last forever. And I think, and here, our last shot here is really a classic shot of Baker with all of our product put together. And you don't know whether anything on there is old or new. That's very important, because the designs are designed for longevity. And I think that's a very important thing to remember, is that we realise that this is an investment. Your customers are going to buy, and they're going to buy beautiful fabrics, but they will have no idea whether that's 100 years old or brand new. And that's part of the philosophy, as Anne said, is that you can pick up the books that have been created at different times, and they still all can work together. And that's very important, that your customers are investing in something that's going to have a long life.
Очень важно понимать, что в Baker нету серьезных ограничений для наших клиентов. Первое, может создаться ощущение, что это должна быть очень дорогая коллекция. Это не всегда так. В коллекции есть как действительно исторические ручные вещи, да, сделанные вручную, и это очень дорого, разумеется. Вот. Но есть и вещи достаточно конкурентные, которые вы найдете в каких-то недорогих коллекциях, как тот же бархат из полиэстера, или какие-то однотонники, или какие-то простые принты. И все это можно здорово замиксовать между собой и выдать клиенту доступный бюджет. Например, будет какой-то акцент, который будет давать все настроение в комнате, да, и он может быть сделан из коллекции Royal Velvets. Вот очень яркие, сочные, необычные такие восточные принты, цифровые принты на бархате. Это может быть просто обивка стульев в гостиной, да, и нам нужно всего лишь для сидушек, там, не знаю, 2 метра. Но это создаст настроение всей комнаты, а остальное будет в однотонниках от Baker, где цена будет небольшой. Или же это микс традиционного, классического, исторического с современным. Это тоже всегда есть в коллекции, этого тоже всегда много, и вы можете сделать современный абсолютно интерьер с какими-то элементами знаковыми, историческими, замиксовав их внутри.
To does anybody have any questions? Because we're talking to you a lot. Does anybody have any?
I have one question. So we can see the planes and we saw really wonderful designs.
Yes.
Do you have any shears in GP&J Baker collection?
No, so this is what I was going to show you. So in GP&J Baker, we don't really have very many, well, we don't have any shears, but but I believe that everyone decorates today, as you do with this showroom, finding things here and there, and you take lots of things and put them together to create a house or a room or a hotel or a project. And so within our portfolio of brands, we look to offer you the option of mixing, either keeping our brands very specific or mixing them together. So we have our modern brand called Threads, which I actually created it about 10 years ago because I wanted to, this sounds terrible, but I wanted to decorate my own house in London, but I didn't want to just use very traditional focused product. I wanted to use things that were plains and textures and had a more modern feel that I could add something classical to. So I started this brand, I talked to Carrie Crabbett, and we started this brand called Threads. And the idea behind Threads was that it bridged something that was extremely modern and something that was more traditional, and was a transitional product that worked either alone or with everything.
Both.
So
Contemporary and historical.
so my view of Threads was that you could use it, you could create a very modern interior mixing these things together, which is shears with much more textured modern upholstery. But equally, if you wanted to, you could use the shears with Baker and you could mix this with classical product, or you could mix this with Cravat and have very modern rooms. So the idea of Threads was that it was the product that bridged both sides of design. So in Threads we have, this is one of the books of wide width shears. So we have very glamorous shears in here, as well as much drier sort of linen shears like the shear on the front. So there are shears from our group, but it's not necessarily branded Baker, it's branded Threads. So but you can mix all of these with Baker products and create beautiful rooms. Equally, this luxury book, this gorgeous textured velvet, you could equally mix it with anything from our group. So the idea is that you have also all these lovely, slightly more modern textures that you can put with more classical things. So you can use that high-low of modern and traditional. And then also in Threads we have this great stripes book that you can use really with absolutely anywhere. It can be lovely rooms, bedrooms. It's upholstery. It's all upholstery.
And again, can be mixed with the other
and you
brands.
can mix
yes.
it. You can mix it with this, but equally.
May I translate?
Yes. Yes.
Эн говорит, я вот сейчас задала вопрос, есть в Бейкере тюли, потому что мы видели однотонники, мы видели дизайны, и логичный вопрос, что есть ли вообще какие-то другие ткани. Тюли нет, но вот я как бы, предваряя дальнейший показ, вопрос задала, а дальше пошел бренд Threads. Это такой мост между классическими дизайнами, более традиционными GP&J Baker, и более современный переходный дизайн, то, что называется transition. Просто я сказала, что она сейчас в Лондоне как раз свой собственный дом декорирует, и вот как она, конечно же, добавит из GP&J Baker какие-то классические дизайны, но она как раз из Threads готовы использовать очень много текстур, чтобы придать более современный вид ее интерьеру.
Threads это что, более дешевый бренд? Ну, в смысле...
Более современный. То есть он как раз такой мост между более классическим и традиционным GP&J Baker и более современный дизайн.
Но вы можете сочетать по колористике и по образу с традиционными историческими тканями.
И вот уже в бренде Threads есть каталог, где есть и тюли двойной ширины, которые можно использовать как с тканями GP&J Baker, или брать тюли, например, из Кравина, как они предлагают.
When did you start with Threads?
About when did we start? 8 years ago,
So
maybe
it's
10 years
pretty
ago.
new,
It's pretty new,
pretty young.
but we felt that we needed to have a brand that was, what I was explaining, that linked, that wasn't so classical. In actual fact, we started it because I was decorating my house in London, and I wanted to have product that was more, that bridged the gap between having something more classical and something very modern. So the idea behind Threads was that it can stand alone. It can be very beautiful as a standalone brand, but equally you can mix the modern side of Threads with some of Baker, and you can have a sort of really fantastic eclectic room of, you could put pillows of something like Rio Velvet equally in a room with that. You could mix the things together, and so it has this sort of feeling of being able to provide that gap if you don't want to have completely classical product. So that was the view of Threads. And also we have produced some vinyl wallpapers which cover all of the contract specifications for all any sort of hotel project. But also they are papers that are textured that you can use with any Baker or Threads product. So they're really just lovely textured wallpapers that you could use with any.
То есть это продукт, который позволяет выйти GP&J Baker и Mulberry за рамки исторического и традиционного и зайти в современный дизайн. И он отлично сочетается с этими продуктами, либо дает новые возможности.
But equally you can use
Есть
things
как
like,
ткани, так и обои.
this is my
И
favourite
тюли, потому
design.
что в стандартной
This is really
коллекции
beautiful.
GP&J Baker, правильно я понял, больше нет тюлей, да?
Нет.
Mulberry тоже нет.
But of course, these you can use with our other brands, because you can, for example, if I put this across here, you can see that if you just want to put a texture with the design, then it's perfect. So don't think of it just as for Threads, because this will mix across very well with it.
Смотрите, вот, например,
And it
традиционный
makes
принт
this look more
сочетается
contemporary, it makes the whole story look more contemporary.
с обоями из современной коллекции.
So there,
Is it the fact that, let's say, historical or original English interior doesn't use shears?
it doesn't really, unless they are lace
Yeah.
or unless they are linen. So really there aren't that many shears used in
But
classical English
we'll talk
interiors.
about the interiors of the 19th century. Will we find shears there?
No, it
Yeah.
would have been lace. It
They
would have been lace.
more like lace, or but not a sort of classic, what I call a classic European type shear.
You have to remember also that a very old English house would have been cold, so they would have had big curtains, because to keep the heat in the house, the shear would let the heat escape. So there wasn't such a need for sheer fabrics many years ago.
No, there was just hugely padded
You need
curtains.
very thick curtains
That's
to
why
keep
they
you
had all
warm.
those layers of interlining in them, because of all the drafty windows.
Всему есть свои причины, исторические, культурные, культурологические. Дело в том, что в английском интерьере, в принципе, это, что я сейчас спросил, что тюли не использовались. Это могли быть либо, как в качестве легкой шторы, laces, это кружево, либо это был какой-то полупрозрачный лен или легкая льняная ткань. Но в стандарте, в принципе, так как вы вспомните, да, английские фильмы или про старые времена, то есть протопить замок почти нереально. Топить дом каминами – это жутко дорогое занятие и очень неэффективное. Поэтому окна были деревянные, окна были с щелями, и чтобы утеплиться как-то, да, нужны были плотные шторы, спадающие до пола. и фактически закрывающие вас от сквозняка, который шел от окна. Поэтому в тюлях не было никакой потребности, это были всегда плотные шторы, закрывающиеся тоже плотно.
I think it's also important to remember that the Threads brand is very important at the moment. We have lots of clients who we know need these simpler designs. We know we have the people that like the historic things and they're very decorative and they're very floral. But we know there's a whole group of decorators that much prefer this much low-key, much quieter, much softer. You see the colours are very muted. It's the indigos and neutrals. There's no orange, there's no pink. It's much more subdued for a much quieter interior. And we know that there's a big movement for this as well. So remember, as Anne said, to mix this with this sort of story as well.
Помимо дизайнов, это еще и современные, очень спокойные, мягкие цвета. В основном натуральные, цвета земли, песочный, коричневый, терракотовый. Но здесь вы не найдете очень сочных, ярких, броских цветов, которые вы найдете
Also, with the Threads collection, there is a new Threads collection for September, which you will receive at the beginning of September, and it completely coordinates with this collection, which was new last year. So you will have like these two new collections with the shears and wallpapers that you can decorate with the whole collection together. So you can put it all together.
Do you launch Threads only in September?
Sometimes, well, we're not very consistent.
Yes.
We launch when we have a fantastic collection to launch. So we are launching a new Threads collection to go with all this. So you will have a really nice library of threads to work with from September.
Then please tell us, how many books or collections do you launch a year in each brand?
Well,
What's the average?
we don't really have an average, but
Formula,
we normally have one major Baker collection a year. And so a major GP&J Baker collection
Like
would
this
be
book, for
a
instance.
print book. It would normally be a weave book or a velvet book, and maybe a embroidery book. So there will be 3 or 4 books for Baker.
Работы немного, друзья. В год выходит, например, GP&J Baker 3-4 каталога. Это будет, скорее всего, каталог принтов, каталог бархатов или вышивки, каталог однотонника и еще какой-нибудь.
And then for threads, the last Threads collection was a textured weave book, the Morrow book, and a stripe book. So we have, or I have a philosophy that less is more. I think the market has so much product that I think you are better to have a smaller offering that all works together, that's easy for the customer, that's easy and understandable, and the customer can understand it in their library. I think the days have gone when you come with, I mean, some companies still do, but what is the point of launching 10 books? I think you're better to launch 1 or 2 books. And because our philosophy is that our collections all move together, it's not 1 and 1 and 1, that the last collection should work with the next one and the next one. It means that your libraries can work together, so you don't need to keep bringing out 10 books in a collection. 3 books that you can decorate whole rooms with is easy for everyone to understand and easy for the customer.
Threads выпускает 3 каталога, например, последний выпуск это был каталог текстуры, принты и полоска. По мне нет необходимости выпускать большое количество продуктов, потому что это расфокусирует внимание клиента. Рынок перенасыщен продуктами, надо фокусироваться на своей теме.
So, for example, the new Threads collection for September is 3 books. It's a print book and a texture book and the other book is Prints and Textures. It might be 2 books. I think it might be 2 books. And the Baker collection for September is a signature velvet book of our classic prints but printed on velvet. And then there is a book of small block print designs that can be used on their own or with everything, and a very beautiful book of designs inspired by Indienne. So
Do you launch GP&J Baker collections in January?
no,
Just September?
virtually never. I
So
mean,
all the launches you make in September?
and then in January